How you doing, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel on my journey to becoming a professional sports bettor for a living. Today I have a couple of, basically a couple of things I ran into that I wish somebody would have told me about before I started doing this. Now, I've only been sports betting for maybe a year and a half, and a couple of things that I ran into that I'm going to give and share with you guys, so hopefully you don't run into it if you're on the same path that I am. So, number one on the list is parlays, betting big money with parlays. There was a couple of times where I went to the casino. I'm like, ooh, oh, I like this number, I like that number. Let me go ahead, bet this game, bet that game, bet that game, $50, right? And over a course of time, I missed one game, missed two games, missed three games. Then that $50 turned into $150. And now I'm over here looking at my bankroll, which is getting very low, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Come to find out, I'm betting too many parlays. Too many parlays. Like, I really like these games. I really like them. So if you're gonna bet parlays, I say bet them with little money, $5, $10. If you do an 8 game parlay for $10, what is that, like 5 grand? I mean, you can make a lot of money still betting little money, because at the end of the day, we're trying to cash tickets. We're not trying to retire. So let's go to number two. Number two is research. Before you place a bet, do your research. Just don't look at, oh, this team has this tendency, I'm just going to bet on that. No. Or, hey, this team's been trending to the under, I'm just going to bet unders. No, don't do that. Research. If a team is playing a number one, let's say, for instance, number one seed in college basketball, Baylor, Gonzaga. If you have a lower ranked team, probably in the hundreds, that's playing, Gonzaga or Baylor, and that game is, I want to say, one of the games they had to play against, or one of the teams they have to play against, well, obviously their stats are going to be a lot lower. And maybe they're not going to shoot that many threes, because Baylor, their guards are extremely tall. What is it, 6'4", 6'4", 6'4"? 6'4" guards, it's hard to shoot threes on 6'4" guards. So you don't really want to, you really have to look at the games a team plays before you actually go and make your bet. I did the same thing. I'm like, oh, this team's tendencies is to the under. All right, I'm gonna bet the under. Nope, lost. I didn't bet that much, $5. And that was it. Man, so that's number two on the list, is do your research before you go and place the bet. Number three, know the teams you're betting on. I went to the casino one time, or let's say not the casino, but the sports books, and I placed a bet on Washington that same day. So it was, all right, so here's the scenario. Funny story, right? So I go to the casino, had a 4 game parlay. I'm going to bet 4 game parlay. I won every game except for that one team. I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, that team won, right? I'm watching the game and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, that team's winning. I won the ticket, right? I won the 4 game parlay. I went to the casino. They said it's not a winner. What do you mean they won last night? And talking to the manager, yeah, they didn't win. That's not a winner. Like, what's going on? Come to find out, it was Washington and Arizona, and you had Washington State and Arizona State playing the same day. So I'm over here thinking about it. I'm like, I bet the wrong team. Wow. Really? So know the teams you're betting, get the times. Yeah, I made that mistake. I mean, first time, getting into this, you look at Washington, you think it's Washington. No, it's Washington State. So make sure you got the times, make sure you have the teams written down, make sure you know what you're betting. So number four, write down the teams that you want to bet. What I mean by that is, before you actually go to the casino or the sports books, Make sure you write down the teams that you want to bet. You don't know how many times I went there, especially in, in football, the NFL. I went there and I seen the number. I was like, oh, then my eyes got big. I'm like, oh, this number? Oh, they're giving me this number? Oh, they're not up to date on the number move. Oh, they're not up to date on that. So let me hurry up. Do a 3-team parlay real fast. 3-team parlay. So I'm over here betting. Before you know it, the money I brought to the casino, also limit the money you bring to the casino. The money I brought to the casino, I didn't have enough money to place the bet that I wanted to bet. And I'm over here thinking like, man, really? Like, I ran out of money. Oh well, oh well. No, oh well. I did my research on these teams. I wanted to bet these teams, and now I don't have enough money to bet. I didn't go to the casino and bet. My eyes got too big. I'm like, oh, they got this number. They got that number. Wow. So write down the teams you want to bet. Go to the sports books. Bet those teams first, and then if you like any other teams, low limits, $5, $10. Because our job is to cash tickets, not to retire. All right, so that was number 4. Number 5, bet a little extra money on the teams you really like. So if I see a team, I'm like, man, I'm looking at the 3 points, I'm looking at the 2-pointers, they're going to kill this team, they're going to crush this team. I place maybe, a little bit of extra cash on that one team. I'm not going to go too crazy, just in case, because you might have that college team that's just on fire that night. 250 ranked team versus a 58th team, and that 250 just was on. It happens. They just light it up. It happens. So bet a little extra money on the teams that you really like, that you did your research on. Then also another strategy is, say for instance, you like the number and you like the money line. So put money on the money line. Simple strategy. Not only bet the point spread, 60% of the point spread with 60% of your bet, and then another 40% on the money line. Simple strategy. So that's number 5. Number 6. If you're just getting into this, start with $100 and make $5 bets. Think about it, you win. That's probably like $4.90. So you're making $5 per bet, and you still get your 5. So it's like 10. Well, it's not 10. It's just $4.90. But simple strategy until you actually get comfortable and you start knowing what to look for, like how to look for value, how to pinpoint certain teams, and you just keep betting on that trend that you have going on. Like for instance, if somebody would tell me just to do that to start off with, if you can double that $100 to $200, then you're on to something. Or if you can pretty much break even, then you're on to something. Me, I started off 1,700. Yeah, terrible. Then 1,600. Yeah, I wish somebody would have told me that. Let's just say that. So, number 7. Well, not going to say that one yet. Let's go back to number 8. Let's go to number 8. Let's skip number 7 because I want to talk to you about that a little later. Number 8. The maximum games you want to do research on, because there's tons of games and you're like, well, which game should I pick? Just do 3 games. Start off with 3 games and see if you can start winning consistently. Start winning consistently with those 3 games that you're doing research on, that you're betting. And if you're winning consistently with 3 teams, then go to 4 teams. Then if you start winning consistently with 4 teams, go to 5 teams. It's all about what you're looking for. It's your strategy, how you approach certain situations, certain games. So that's number 8, 3 game minimum to start. Again, if you're starting 100 bucks, bet $5 a game. If you could double that 100 to 200, excuse me, you're on to something. Number 9, build your bankroll slowly. This is, again, it's not a race, it's a marathon. You really want to make money by the end of the year. You don't want to sit here, bet big amounts or go extremely crazy on one game. You want to make it through the year, pretty much make a profit at the end of the year. The next year, you probably want to raise your bankroll, build your bankroll up a little higher. Again, I wish somebody would have told me this, because, man, it would have saved me well, I learned a lot of lessons. Let's just say that. I learned a lot of valuable lessons. And that's another thing. You're going to learn these lessons. You're going to be like, all right, I love this team. Oh, I like this team. What happened? The numbers look good. This team looks good. Why did they lose? Well, the numbers weren't what the numbers were. All right. So that's that. Number 10. Study teams in their divisions. So when you're betting, make sure you understand what a non-divisional team is and a divisional team, and understand the difference between the two as far as stats go. Because if you have a team, they may play teams in their division. Actually, teams in their division play that team a lot tougher than non-divisional teams. So you may have a really low-ranked team, but if they're in the same division and they always keep it close, do the research. You definitely have to do the research on that. They're keeping it close. They're a low-division team, but they're in the same division. They're always going to fight because these teams know each other. They play each other each year, every year. And the non-divisional games, they probably don't know that team, which, again, is another edge. So know the teams you're betting on. That's number 10. Number 11, record your bets. Record them down, write them down, because you can start seeing patterns in how you're betting. So if you're betting too many overs, all right, let's switch it up. Oh, I lost 4 overs. Well, let's go with unders this time. What's going on? So you start betting unders and you start looking at tendencies in which you're betting. Maybe you got something wrong. Always try to correct yourself in a way. That's why you have to record, the amount of money you spend, the amount of unders or against the spreads. That's very valuable information when you go ahead and start picking teams, and then you can start tracking what's actually working and you build off of that. So number 11, record your picks. Number 12, team trends. Team trends are only indicators. So it's kind of like the stock market. You got the Bollinger Bands, you have the volume. Those are just indicators. Trends are indicators in which a team is marching in a certain direction. So say, for instance, you have a team on a card and they've been giving you consistent unders. Well, that's a good trend. And then the numbers suggest the same thing. And then you look at the other teams' trends, they're giving you nothing but unders as well. Well, obviously, this team is going to trend to the under. The last 2 games they play. Actually, better scenario. A team has mostly unders, but they only have unders for anything for the line at, let's say, for instance, the line is let's use college basketball, so the totals and unders. So let's just say the line is 135 points. Every time the line is 135 points or under, it's under. Good indicator, right? Other team, let's say, for instance, they have a bunch of overs, but the last 2 games were unders. It's an indicator. So it just pushes or sway a decision one way or another. Number 13, injuries. Make sure that you are following injuries when you are placing bets for teams. Look at the injuries, look at the lineups, who's in, who's out. It's really easy to find out who is the superstar on certain college teams. Like, you're going to have probably one individual who's going to be scoring more points than the other individuals. And if they lose that individual, they're not going to put up, like, that's what, let's say, for instance, you have an individual that's going to score 20 points. That's been scoring 20 points a game. And that guy is out for the game because he hurt his thumb or his hand or whatnot. Then you know that's 20 points off the board. And they're going to sub somebody in. They're probably not going to put up 20. They're probably going to put up 10. So you have a 10-point difference. That's a 10-point advantage for the other team. So you have to be very, very mindful and pay attention to the injuries, because they can either make your game for you or destroy a game for you. Destroy a bet. Number 14, look for value. Once you start betting and you start getting into the mix and you start understanding what to look for, you're going to understand, okay, this is a value play. Like, this team is very valuable. You know, I'm looking at this team. I'm seeing who they play. They really didn't play anybody good. The indicators suggest that it's going to go to the under and it's against the spread. All right, let's go put, a little extra on this game because I really like this game and I really like this team. Look for value. And if you're going to bet anything, just don't place a bet. Don't do that. Just don't, all right, my maximum is 3 games, but if you just like one game, just bet that one game. Again, this is not a this is not a race, it's a marathon. And that was number 14. Let's go to number 15. Number 15, what I've been saying the whole video. Not a race, but a marathon. Okay, we're not trying to race to get rich. We're just trying to make a little extra money, and we're trying to build off of our success every time we see a team or every time we see a game. Because once you start looking for tendencies and your tendencies, you're going to be like, all right, let me start with those tendencies first on the card as you build more and more comfortable with betting on certain games. All right, 3 games, I'm at 5 games already. I know what to look for. All right, let me bet these games. Before you know it, you're betting the whole ticket. Then it's like, well, you're coming out on top because you know what to look for. So that is some of the things I was looking for. Hold on, one thing. There was, I believe I skipped number 7. Oh, okay, number 7. If there's any recommendations, like, say for instance, if you know a friend who's pretty good at betting teams, or you got some inside information or a suggestion, or you paid for a pick, don't put big money on that. You didn't do your research on that pick. You wouldn't just go into a random house. Actually, you know what? That's a bad example. I don't have any good examples for you. Just bet little money on picks that are given to you. If you haven't done your research, don't do it. Would you buy a car that you know nothing of? Like, if you go to a car lot, they don't give you the Carfax of the car, or they don't give you any information. Just, here's a car. It's $10,000. Right? Here's the contract. Sign it. Let's be done. Let's get this deal without test driving the vehicle. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't go to a car lot without test driving the vehicle. So why would you bet a lot of money on a pick that you didn't do your research on? So if you like someone else's pick and you want to bet it, minimum $5-10. Again, and all of these are things I ran into, are issues that I was having when I'm starting out. And hopefully I gave you 15 key things to avoid. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know if it's clicking. I have a couple other things, but in later videos I'll bring a couple other things to it. But these are the issues I had today. It's a big card. I see a lot of value on there. Hopefully, I can come out on top. I have Drexel as my pick. It was a pick'em game. I like Drexel today. So if you see this video and you watched all 20 minutes and 15 seconds, 16, Drexel is my pick today. Appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you learned something, and let's make some money. All right, so catch you guys later.